Turkish story. And so a long time ago, there was a great caravan plying its trade on the road from Baghdad to Istanbul. And one day, this large caravan stopped at an oasis to water the camels. They took off the heavy burdens and they could go and drink. And while they were there, a second, smaller caravan came and joined them. And among all the animals in this smaller caravan was a donkey. And he began to eat alongside the oldest of the camels. And after a while, as they were grazing and the men were all sleeping in their tents, the donkey said, "I feel great. In fact, I feel so good, I think I'm going to bray." And the camel said, "Please, brother donkey, pray do not bray. If you bray, you're going to wake up the men, and they're going to put our burdens on our backs all the sooner and set out again, and that'll be the end of our rest." And the donkey said, "So what? When I have an uncontrollable desire to bray, then bray I shall, and who cares about the consequences?" Well, sure enough, the men all woke up, and seeing that, well, that the night was late, and they decided it was cool, and they all put the heavy burdens on the backs of the camels and set out. And when they saw the donkey among the camels, they thought, the others are still sleeping, and they took the donkey along and placed a heavy, heavy load on his back, too. And they walked, and they walked, and they walked across the desert. And at first the donkey was keeping up all right, but as they walked and walked, he went slower and slower and slower until his knees were buckling under him. And the men looked back and saw the donkey way behind with their goods, and so they went back, and they picked up the donkey, and they brought him over to the oldest camel, and they placed the donkey, burden and all, on top of the burden of this camel. You can imagine how thrilled he was about that. And on they went, and they walked until they came to a narrow mountain pass. And on one side was a high, high cliff, and on the other side was a steep, long drop, 200 feet or more. And as the camel was picking his way along this narrow path, he said, "You know, I have an irresistible urge to dance." And the donkey said, "What, are you crazy? You can't dance. If you dance, I might fall off. Do you see that drop?" "So what?" said the camel. "When I have an irresistible urge to dance, then dance I must, and never mind the consequences." And with that, the camel began to dance. And on the very first spin, the donkey and his load went flying off the camel's back and over the edge of the cliff. Gone. And the camel walked off and said, "So much for the uncontrollable desire and the irresistible urge." And he went on his way, carrying no more of a load on his back than a camel is meant to carry. Thank you.